Every day, millions of cells in your body deliberately self-destruct, and that's a good thing. It's not an accident or an error. It's not random or uncontrolled. It's not messy or chaotic. It's not even sad. It's beautiful. This process is called apoptosis. It's cellular suicide. It's one of the most important, most fundamental processes in all of biology. It is how you stay alive. Thanks to apoptosis, your fingers are separated in the womb instead of being webbed like a duck. Thanks to apoptosis, old cells in your gut, skin, and blood constantly step aside to make room for new ones. Thanks to apoptosis, you don't get cancer. At its most basic level, cell death is how we maintain life. So let me repeat this. Cell death is not destruction. It's preservation. Like a soldier who sacrifices themselves for their country, or an artist who chips away everything that's not beautiful until all that remains is exquisite. Apoptosis is how we keep things beautiful, how we maintain our health, how we renew ourselves. It happens in waves every second of every day. Inside of you, tens of trillions of cells are silently taking their leave, quietly dissolving, becoming food for the hungry, welcoming the darkness as the universe itself is renewed. When cells refuse to die, disaster begins. That is the essence of cancer, a cell that refuses to obey the natural order. It cheats death and mutates, unchecked, uncontrolled, multiplying, growing, killing. In autoimmune diseases, cells die too soon or wrongly attack the body itself. Too much apoptosis or too little becomes a serious problem. But within a narrow margin of life and death, apoptosis keeps us healthy. It allows the body to maintain order, to renew itself, to evolve, to adapt, and survive. It's how we grow from a single cell into a complex organism with trillions of cells. It's how we change, adapt, and heal. Apoptosis is a silent symphony between life and death. A constant low hum of controlled demolition. A beautiful ballet of cellular sacrifice. Every time you take a breath, you are alive because somewhere deep inside, a cell has quietly chosen to disappear. Dying cells keep you alive, and without dying cells, you cannot live. You know what else cannot live without dying cells? Dying cells allow you to live. Without them, you wouldn't survive a day. Our immune system depends on apoptosis. When pathogens invade, special white blood cells called T cells identify the invaders and kill them. But only after making copies of themselves so they can keep fighting. Without apoptosis, there would be too many copies, and the disease could spread. Dying cells allow you to think. Neurons in your brain use apoptosis to remove unnecessary connections. Without this pruning, you wouldn't be able to focus. You'd be overwhelmed by the constant noise of irrelevant information. Dying cells allow you to feel. Sensory neurons depend on apoptosis to eliminate background noise, so you can pay attention to what's important. Without it, you wouldn't be able to enjoy a meal, appreciate a sunset, or feel the warmth of the sun on your skin. Dying cells allow you to move. Motor neurons depend on apoptosis to eliminate unnecessary connections, so you can walk, run, jump, dance, fly, swim, crawl, skip, hop, leap, twirl, and waltz. Without it, you'd be paralyzed by the effort of coordinating your muscles. Dying cells allow you to see. Photoreceptor cells in your eyes depend on apoptosis to eliminate unnecessary connections so you can see shapes, colors, and motion. Without it, you wouldn't be able to navigate your world, find your way home, or read a book. Dying cells allow you to hear. Hair cells in your ears depend on apoptosis to eliminate unnecessary connections so you can hear sounds, voices, and music. Without it, you wouldn't be able to communicate, connect with others, or enjoy the symphony of life. Dying cells allow you to taste. Chemoreceptor cells in your tongue depend on apoptosis to eliminate unnecessary connections so you can taste sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami. Without it, you wouldn't be able to savor a meal, appreciate a vintage, or enjoy a cup of tea. Dying cells allow you to smell. Olfactory receptor cells in your nose depend on apoptosis to eliminate unnecessary connections so you can smell flowers, fresh-cut grass, rain, baking bread, popcorn, and manure. Without it, you wouldn't be able to navigate your world, find your way home, or know if something was burning. So the next time you breathe, remember that somewhere inside, a cell has quietly chosen to disappear so that you can live. dying cells are the best thing that's ever happened to you. Seriously, a cell in your bone marrow dies. It doesn't just die. It also leaves behind messages for the cells that will replace it. Those messages ensure that the new cells that grow in their place will be stronger and smarter than their predecessors, will be better able to adapt to the body's needs and defend it against disease. In other words, your body uses the experience of dying cells to make your new cells better. But why? Why would the body hang on to those messages? And how does it use them? Let me explain. Your body is constantly losing cells. They're getting old and sick and need to be replaced. And when this happens in your bone marrow, the process is a little different than in other parts of the body. See, the cells in your bone marrow don't just die. They leave behind chemical messages. Little notes that tell the new cells growing in their place how to behave, what to fix, and where to grow. These dying cells are like passing the baton to the next generation. It's not just happening in your bone marrow. Apoptosis, that's the name for this kind of careful cell death, is happening all over your body, including in your brain. Their neurons that don't have the most beneficial connections with other neurons are pruned away. The brain then uses those death signals to make sure the remaining connections are strong and efficient. Healing and regeneration depend on those death signals. They direct the body where to grow new tissue and what to fix. Chemical signals released by dying cells can stimulate the growth of new blood vessels, which bring oxygen and nutrients to the area. They also activate genes in neighboring cells, triggering them to start repairing damaged tissue. Without these signals, healing can't begin. Now, sometimes apoptosis can go wrong. If it's too messy or happens too soon, it can trigger inflammation, confusion, and disease. But most of the time, cell death is a precise and elegant act. It keeps everything in balance and makes sure old cells get replaced with new ones. So the next time you feel like you're getting sick or getting old, remember, there's a reason for this too. Your body is using the experience of dying cells to keep you alive. Dying cells may be bad news for that individual cell, but it's actually great news for the whole organism, because dying cells have a surprisingly big impact on the tissue they're part of. In fact, when a cell is about to die, it sends out a final molecular message that tells the body how to respond to its death. And these signals can influence a lot of different things, like how the immune system works, how other cells grow and divide, and even your mood and behavior. When a cell dies the right way, it's supposed to send out these signals to its neighbors. Those signals create ripples of healing throughout the tissue. But if the cell dies a messy or untimely death, those signals never get sent, which can trigger inflammation and chronic disease. So dying cells that send the right signals help the body in a few key ways. First, apoptosis, that's the technical term for cell death, helps tissues adapt to stress. Like when you get a paper cut, apoptosis gets rid of the dead skin cells at the tip of the cut, which allows new cells to grow in and heal the wound. Without this, the wound wouldn't heal properly, and you'd probably get an infection. Apoptosis also helps tissues maintain their size and shape. Like when you're a teenager, apoptosis gets rid of the cells that are no longer needed, like the cells between your fingers and toes, so that you don't have webbed hands and feet. And apoptosis even helps to keep tabs on the immune system when a mature immune cell dies. It releases certain molecules that tell other immune cells to calm down and stop attacking the body's own tissues. Without this, the immune system would go haywire and cause all sorts of problems. And dying cells may even help determine your mood. Certain hormones that influence your mood and behavior, like dopamine and serotonin, are made from compounds released by dying cells. Apoptosis is like a quiet vote where dead cells help regulate and shape the living cells around them. And when done well, cell death is not an end, but a message. A message that helps sculpt tissues, balance hormones, and keep you healthy. This is the host with Minute Earth. Dying cells, do they have a purpose? Like, what do dead cells even do? Well, it turns out that dying cells are actually the key to our survival. Scientists are learning how to use them to fight diseases like cancer and neurodegeneration. I'm the host, and this is Minute Earth. Cancer cells are immortal, which sounds amazing until you realize that they're also kind of dead. See, cancer cells can keep dividing indefinitely, which is the hallmark of immortality. But they do it in a destructive, uncontrolled way. So while cancer cells may live forever, they don't really live at all. Not all immortality is good immortality, you know? True health requires cells to die at the right time and in the right way, so that old, damaged cells can be replaced with new ones. And apoptosis, that's the graceful death of a cell, is essential for all living things. You might think of apoptosis as just biology, but it's really a philosophy. It's the idea that everything has a limited lifespan and we need to learn to let go. When apoptosis works the way it should, it means that you're constantly being remade. Your body survives through a cycle of graceful death and rebirth. And we're just beginning to understand the power of this process. For example, in the 1990s, researchers discovered that people with neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's have a buildup of dead cells in the brain because their apoptosis isn't working right. Meanwhile, people who are super healthy have low levels of these dead cells. That suggests that apoptosis could play a role in these diseases. And in 2023, scientists found that people with certain genetic mutations that make them more likely to develop cancer also have problems with apoptosis. That means that apoptosis might protect against cancer too. So by studying apoptosis, we might be able to develop new ways to treat these diseases. By understanding how cells die, we might be able to help cells that are stuck in an unhealthy state let go and make way for new cells. And that could help us live longer, healthier lives. Dying cells, they do have a purpose. This is the host, and this has been Minute Earth.